All right, so
I have to give you a little bit of credit for this.
Yeah, we can overdub it later. Just
Had any crazy stories about? Oh wait, no, I do. I got robbed at gunpoint, mugged.
Checking for me, but I ain't checking for them. No.
sleazy real estate guys, but all right, so another episode of the EP podcast here. I have a very special guest today. He's known to many, but I don't think many really know him. So I think this is a great opportunity to really unpack a lot of those topics. Ladies and gentlemen, we have none other than Ray Cook as our special guest today.
Hello. Yes,
How are you
thank
doing,
you for
buddy?
having me. I'm doing good. Thank
My
you so
man.
much for having me.
How are you doing?
I'm doing
All
good.
is well. How was your drive over here?
It was nice. It's beautiful weather. You know, it's wet. It's raining. It's amazing.
That sounds terrible.
Right. We got to be optimistic. It's optimistic. Attitude is a choice. I'm going to choose to have an optimistic one.
Hey man,
You know what I'm saying?
that's something we love about you. But it's
Thank you.
definitely a rainy weekend in Wilmington, so we're making the best of it.
Yep.
But here we are. So yeah, we have a few topics to uncover in today's episode. We obviously, with any other guests, we're going to talk about your upbringing, how we know each other.
Yeah.
We're going to go into being a cheerleader for the Baltimore Ravens, which is
Go
something,
Ravens.
wow, right? And then not only that, you not only are you in the TV there, but you also been on the show Going From Broke.
Yes.
So we're gonna
Yes.
unpack that a little. We're gonna unpack that a lot, actually. And you also are a vegan.
Yes, I am. 8 years in the game.
8 years. Wow.
8 years.
Okay, so we're gonna dive into that, and we also know that, or at least I know, and some people will know at some point, is that you love to travel,
I do. Very much.
and we even discuss a potential trip in the future.
Yes, I can't wait to dive into that.
Yes. But all right,
Oh,
let's get to it. Here we are.
I'm ready.
Here we are.
I'm ready.
So, Ray.
Yes.
Who is Ray? Where did Ray come from? Like, where did you grow up? Tell us about yourself.
So a little bit about me is, everyone sees me as a ray of sunshine, right? Because I've developed a way to, change my narrative of my own life. I obviously didn't grow up, with the best upbringing. I'm from Baltimore, and when people think of Baltimore, they think of, bad things, right? But at the end of the day, yes, I did grow up in some would call, like the hood or, bad upbringings. I took that and I applied it to my life. Even as a young child, I always was just a happy kid. But of course, happy kids around other kids who aren't so happy, they want to dim that light. So I always had to defend myself a lot. I always had to deal with bullying. I always had to deal with struggling basically, because I always had to be the one to say, well, why are you being mean? There's no reason for that. Why are you always attacking me for being happy that I woke up this morning and came to school? I'm just a happy-go-lucky little kid, and people are just why are you happy? We live in a horrible situation. A lot of the kids hated that we lived in the quote-unquote hood, but I loved it. It made me who I was and who I am, because I know what it's like to come from quote-unquote nothing and change that into something to follow my dreams. 'Cause even then I had dreams, but of course back then they would like to say, you're not allowed to have dreams because of where you came from. But I knew that wasn't true, especially not for someone like me. But growing up in Baltimore, my family, we are very close. We always were, but my mom and my dad were separated, but not in a term of a divorce or anything like that. It's just, there's my mom and then there was my dad. And so they both were very present in my life. But unfortunately, when my grandmother passed away, all of that financial and all of that burden came onto her. And it was just my mom, my sister, and myself. And she just didn't know how to take that on because my mom was young at that time. So, she was in her 20s. And her late 20s, and she had me. So I'm just a little kid, and my mom is in her late 20s, and she's trying to navigate through this world. How do I provide for my family? So, that leads into living with friends. That leads to living in homeless shelters. And for the majority of my life, honestly, the majority of my childhood, I was in homeless shelters, and people had no idea, literally. And up until now, recently, I've been okay with sharing that, because I think it's okay for people to know that even though you did go through something like that, or you came from somewhere like that, doesn't dictate that you can't become somebody. And it doesn't show weakness or, vulnerability is a good thing to have, and it's a good thing to show. And I think it's one of those stigmas that if you are upset or if you're crying, or especially being quote a man, people say that you're not allowed to cry, or it's weak to cry, and it's absolutely not weak to cry. It's absolutely not weak to be vulnerable, because it taught me in those moments that if I didn't cry, if I wasn't vulnerable, I would have had a lot of pent up aggression, which I did have a little bit of that as well. But growing up in homeless shelters as a kid really taught me that I wanted to be something different. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want my circumstance to dictate my life. And that's why I always say attitude is a choice. Circumstances aren't, but your attitude is. And you can choose to have a good one, and you can choose to change that narrative of what your life looks like in that circumstance. So, growing up, of course, it was not easy. It was not easy at all, but I had my family with me. I could have went with my dad. My bad, y'all. I could have went with my dad, but I wanted to be with my mom because I was the only boy. I am still the only boy, and I wanted to go with my mom to the shelters because I didn't want her to be alone with my sister. And, I was like, if there's, a male figure with her, they would be protected. So I'm this little kid, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to go with you, Mom. I'm going to protect you. But in that moment, I realized now, looking back, that I was in survival mode. And as a kid, being in survival mode isn't something that you think that you're in, because you think you're just going with the motions. But I realized at such a young age that I tapped in to that survival mode that, applies to so much to me now. But it's so deep going into it and like looking back, because I didn't realize how much I suppressed my sadness or my emotions because I just wanted everyone around me to be happy, because I knew that we were in a bad situation. Like the kids at the homeless shelters, I always made sure that we played games. I always made sure that, I made up dances with them and stuff like that. And so that way they felt like it was a summer camp. So that way they felt like, oh, this isn't that bad. Yes, we're in homeless shelters, but it's not that bad, because I knew how that felt, and I didn't want anybody else to be like, oh, we can't be anything because we're here. Because I've heard it so many times. Like, you guys are there. You guys are never going to accomplish anything. You guys can't be anything. You guys won't ever be more than your crackhead dad, or, your, dope fiend mom. And those aren't my parents, but those are what people would say about other people's parents. And it's just like, you can't dictate your circumstance, but you can change your personal outlook. You can change your personal trajectory. And I just wanted to be an inspiring person to people at such a young age, even growing up, that I didn't know what my purpose was in life. But growing up, I realized that my ultimate purpose was to inspire and to change people's lives for the better, whether it be with a smile, whether it be with, wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know that I could be okay. Because a lot of people think that just because other people are going through worse things than they are, that they're not allowed to feel pain, that they're not allowed to be, in their state of what they're going through, because they're like, oh, well, someone always has it worse. But that doesn't negate the fact that you also are going through something. So that is something that I've learned, and that I like to, make sure people know that as well, that it's okay to not be okay. And, it's a long, long journey with the kid.
Well, you touched on a lot of things there. Some of them being, a lot of the naysayers, they, quote unquote, I mean, so some people call it haters, right? And you know what the saying is, misery loves company.
They do,
right? But then your attitude is, you might be able to change your circumstances, but you could change your attitude.
Yes,
right. But how old were you then?
I was like 7.
I mean, you're reflecting as an adult kind of point of view at 7. I mean, how do you do that?
I was, like I said, I was surrounded by love, and that is what it was so grateful for. My mom and my dad, they made sure that even though they couldn't provide for us financially sometimes, even though that they couldn't be at everything we did, they made sure that we knew that they loved us. And that is something that I will always cherish with me forever, because even at that young age, I knew love existed. So I knew what happiness felt like. So I knew that if I found love within any circumstance that I put myself in or was given or put for me, that I could still positively get myself out of this mentally. Even though physically my state is still there, but mentally I put myself in a better place where I'm like, it's not that bad. or you will get better. And at a young age, again, there was a survival mode. I was in survival mode for the majority of my childhood because I didn't know what was next, didn't know where I was going.
So you naturally lean into almost leadership position.
Yeah.
Because, during the rain, a lot of people, the only thing they can see is the rain.
Right.
But then you're the one that's running out into the rain dancing.
Yep, literally.
Right.
Rain dancing all day.
So,
yeah.
I mean, that's amazing. And do you think that's something you either have or you don't, or what do you think?
So I honestly do think that it's a skill that you have to genuinely be born with. It's something that you can learn in life through circumstances, but it's very rare that you can learn something like that. I felt like it literally was put into my soul, like deep in me. Like I knew,
Because you had that strong love foundation.
yes, exactly.
And that's very big because it all starts at the home, right?
Yep.
The home, even
That's where
wherever
we learn.
is, as Jack told me before, home is not necessarily a place; it's a state of being, right? So it could literally be anywhere,
Yep.
and people play a big factor of that.
Yep.
So when everything is so gloomy and dark and scary, it's hard to have that kind of optimism.
Yep.
But then a ray comes along,
Yeah.
and then shines that light in the darkness for people. So, I mean, that's huge, dude. That's
you.
huge. And you still do that today.
Appreciate
I
it.
have not seen a day where you're just not glooming, not glooming, like you're just shining,
Yeah.
like a ball of fun, and as you say, like a ray of sunshine and
Yeah.
all that stuff. So, I mean, that's, geez, that's a strong opening, man. That's a strong opening. I think we should just cut it there, man.
All right, we're good. All right,
No, but man, that's very admirable of you.
thank you.
But I'm gonna switch gears because there is a lot of other great stuff that people
Yeah.
should know about you. Let's start with how we met,
Yes.
right? We typically hang out at a college campus
Yes.
at University of Delaware for the
Hens.
notorious pitcher night.
Yeah.
Right, every
Yes.
Thursday, you never just have one pitcher. That's
have
what
to
you
have
learn,
multiple.
right? And we were just dancing, right? We were just dancing, and we were just vibing
Yep.
and cooling, and then that's
I was like, yo, like this dude is so dope. And I was like, yo, let's take a picture. I
Yeah.
was like, so you remember this moment.
and we took a great picture,
It's a great photo.
and
It's a
then
great photo.
and then you sent it to me.
Yep.
I forget how that even happened.
I think it was because I like our friend Mylin. I was like, who is this guy? I was like, he was so dope. Like I remember, I was like, I gotta get his Instagram before he leaves. And he was like, oh yeah, that's my boy. I was like, what? I said, I was like, this world is so small. And I was like, all right, what is his Instagram? I'll send him my picture. And then the rest is history.
Yeah,
rest is
and then we've never hung out like
this.
specifically.
Yeah.
Right, we've always just bumped into each other places. It's always been great.
Always good
I
vibes.
remember one specific moment. I was at this bar at Klondike's, and I was all the way in the back, just walking in, and I'm looking into this. Is mind you, I wear glasses, right? And these things probably expired. God knows how long ago. At this point, it's just a prop, right? And I'm looking up to the DJ booth, and it's just this guy just going at it, da 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 da, and I'm like, hold up! I pull up my phone and I do the Zoom thing on it.
Is this?
And I was like, is that Ray? Do you remember that? I literally recorded you, put you on Instagram story. I was like,
Yes,
oh,
I
Ray.
do. Yes, I do. And I said, that is me. I was like, oh shit, where you at?
I was like, Ray.
I was like, oh, we lit.
So we were talking before we started recording was that Ray is not the guy you see on the dance floor. Ray is the guy you see on the DJ booth.
I'll come down though, but I'm up there all the time. Real bad.
Well, and then especially after, and then I think it's a good transition is especially once I got your Instagram and then I started looking through it. I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing in Newark, right? Which leads me, you are a cheerleader for the Baltimore Ravens.
Baltimore Ravens, let's go. All my Ravens fans.
There you go.
Let's go. Love y'all. Real bad.
So
But
how from pitcher night, how do you end up in such position? Can you please
yeah.
take us through that?
So I'm from Baltimore, but I actually live in Elkton, which is close to Newark. And, all of my boys are up here. My friends are up here. My DBB's up here,
DBB.
So, yeah, that's my double bogey. That's 4. Let's Let's go. They'll know.
That
They'll
triggered
know.
something.
I got DBB in the house.
Is that insider
It's
information?
insider information.
Okay,
If you know, you know. If you don't, you won't.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm just happy to be around it.
Yes,
Just
but
happy to be around
no. So I love, coming up here because the vibes are always amazing, and I just happened to be out, and I was like, where does that do out here? Because I was like, oh, it's just a college campus. There's nothing to do. And 2016 was the spark of the start of the lovely pictures, and then that was also 2 years before I was scouted for Ravens. And then, but yeah, I've always been going to picture nights since.
Wait, so you were scouted for Ravens, but
Yeah.
how do you even end up in a position to be scouted?
So I was at a cheer competition so I'll take you guys back on a little journey.
Please.
So growing up, as we know, it was rough, right? But I still, flipped it. And I went to like dancing classes, just to kind of like blow up some steam, I guess you should say. But I always love to dance, as we see on the dance floor or in the DJ booth. But I just love dancing. I just love movement. I just love all of that. So my mom was like, all right, let's put you in some dance classes. And I was like, oh, okay. But of course, we couldn't afford it because financial burdens and things like that. So I was like, no, it's fine. I'll just make up dances. And that's, me making up the dances at the homeless shelters. It was just like that. But once we moved out of the homeless shelter and I got to, living in Elkton, I started dancing at, this dance studio called Bobby Ann's in Elkton. And then from there, I started choreographing cheerleading at Bow Manor High School and middle school. And with, Colleen she was my mom's best friend. And then Allie was my best friend. And she was a cheerleader. So we definitely were like, always like choreographing dances and everything for the cheerleading team. And then I was like, all right, one day I should start cheerleading. And I was like, nah, I can't do that. I was like, back then it was like boys don't cheerlead. Like they don't do that. Bring It On was the only thing that I knew like that was cheerleading wise. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to keep dancing. I'm just going to keep choreographing. It's fine. So one day, Allie was like, you should just try. And I was like, all right, fine. I'll try cheerleading. And then I was the only guy cheerleader in my entire high school for 4 years that I've been there. And I was like, very nervous at first because I was like, wait a minute, like I'm the only guy here. I was like, I don't know what this is about. Like, I don't know what's about to happen.
Yeah.
And of course, that came with bullying. That came with naysayers. That came with what is he doing? Like, he should be playing football. Because I also was really, really good at football as well. And I was just a very active individual. But I was like, I want to do something challenging. I want to do something fun.
What position?
So the position that I was at when I played football, I was a defensive lineman and running back. So, let's go, big boy. But and I was fast, still am fast. Yeah. But yes.
Yeah, you're always at the bar before everybody. I'm kidding.
Last one in, last one out. But no, but yeah. So we got a lot of fans in the building. Love y'all, mean it. But yeah. So football was great, but I wanted something that I felt fulfilled me and fulfilled something that I was passionate about, which of course was dancing. And so I was like, all right, how can I incorporate dance with cheerleading? And before then, I didn't know that I had to throw people in the air. So I was like, oh, I can't do that. But I learned how to do it, of course, because, I'm not giving up.
Right.
But, so through high school, I'm cheering. My senior year comes and we have a showcase every single year. And at one showcase, I'm performing, I'm doing my thing out there. And there was this coach who was for Cecil College, and she was sitting behind the booth while I was in high school, and she was judging all of us. She was one of the judges. And then she was like, there's something about you. And like, she came up to me after and she was like, would you ever consider cheerleading in college? And I was like, oh, well, I'm actually about to graduate. Like, I don't know. And she was like, let's talk. Okay. And then she actually got me a scholarship to cheer for college because it was for male cheerleaders.
Okay.
And of course there were no male cheerleaders. And then I just ironically became one, so it just fit perfectly. And her name is Holly, which goes into, she brought me to All-Star Cheerleading and All-Star at KX Athletics, and then All-Star Cheerleading was an all-star competition in Upper Marlboro, and that's when a Raven cheerleader was there.
Oh,
and then
snap.
she was the host of that competition, and her name is Ashley Crawford, and I owe her so much, owe her everything, because without her seeing something in me, I would have never consider going out for Ravens. I always thought about it, but seeing what they can do, I was at that time, I was like, there's no way I'm good enough to do something like that.
Okay.
And I was like, nah. But she saw something in me at that competition, and she came up to me and she said, I'm going to scout you for Ravens. And I was like, the Baltimore Ravens? I was like, to do what? I was like, nah. I was like, I can't do that. And she was like, no. She was like, honestly, she's like, I see something in you that you don't see in yourself yet. She's like, and I really believe that you will be an asset to the team. And I was like, thank you, but like, no, thank you. But I took the scout card. Mm-hmm. So then I said, you know what, Ray? I was like, you promised her that you're going to do it. Yeah. And I said, but you don't want to make a fool out of yourself. Mm-hmm. So I said, I'm going to do my research. I'm going to be like, what do I need to do? I was like, I'm just going to learn the bare minimum. I'm going to go next year because I didn't go that year, like that same year she scouted me. I went the year after because I wanted to learn what to do because I didn't want to make a fool out of myself at this big, amazing trial.
You want to do your homework, yeah.
Thank you. Exactly. So, I took a year, learned some basic things. I was still doing All-Star. And then I said, you know what? Tryouts are around. I'm going to fulfill this promise because I'm not going to break this promise. It's been a year. She's been holding me down. Yeah. She was like, hey, like, are you going to come? Are you going to come? So I was like, all right, yeah, I'm going to come. So then, one of my All-Star cheerleaders, Stephanie, she drove me through a blizzard to, get to tryouts. And I was like, it's not meant to be. Like, look at all this. The bridge was shut down. She's like, it's not meant to be. And I was like, all right, let's turn around. And she was like, no, like, we're going to go. Yeah. So we ended up getting over the bridge, getting into Baltimore, and coming up from Delaware. And I was like, oh, like, it's seriously happening. I didn't think I was going to make the team. I was going there to fulfill a promise. Yeah. I promise.
Little did you know.
Little did I know that after 2.5 long weeks of hard tryouts and after interview processes and then another week of finals, that I would be a Baltimore Ravens cheerleader. And
walk us through that moment. So when you found out.
When I found out, because it's going to get real deep in a second, because not to always get deep, but something really bad happened in my life at the same time that I made the team, and it's when I lost my dad. And I lost him literally. He was alive to see me make the team, and then he passed away the same day as my first team meeting. So as the best thing that just happened for me in my life, happened at the same time the worst possible thing could have happened to me. So I'm struggling with mourning, grieving, and being happy. So of course I knew he wanted me to be on this team. He wanted this for me. He knew how excited I was about it. He bought me my very first suit ever for this, and I still have it to this day. I don't fit a little bit, but it's fine to keep it. But it don't fit. It's fine. But I am grateful for that moment because it taught me to, again, circumstances and attitude, because my circumstance was very unfortunate. But I could have taken that and just quit, left, grieved, and just like counted my losses then. But instead, I took that hard time and I said, this isn't what he would have wanted me to do. And I said, my dad saw greater for me, and I'm going to fulfill not only his purpose, but I'm going to fulfill my purpose because I see greater for myself as well. And so I was like, Ray, you have to be here. And I went to that first team meeting, and I told one person, that I'm going to be late because I was dealing with, I was at the hospital with my dad and things like that. He passed away, et cetera. And as soon as I walked into that meeting, the entire team had a card for me. They signed it. And they had no idea who I was. Yeah. They had no idea who I was. I was just a brand new guy, rookie guy on the team. And they had a card. Everyone signed for me, had flowers for me. And they were just saying, we are here for you. And that's when I knew I found my family.
That's powerful. That is powerful.
And it was meant to be. Yeah.
In hearing you throughout these past 25 minutes is that you have dealt with so many make or break situations.
Yeah.
And yet you have always chosen to make.
Yes. Ain't got time to break. Mama ain't raised no glass.
Gotta love it, man. Gotta love it. So what would happen after that? Like, once that was your breakthrough into the team with your dad passing, and then really solidifying your belonging with the family that now was with the team, what did it look like after that?
So after that, it was just like, all right, we're here, we're heads in. So I jumped in, I learned basically everything that I needed to learn, and I went in and I was like, I'm eyes open because I've never expected to be here. First of all, thought I was gonna get cut. So I'm still like, damn, like this is my life right now. So I'm in there, I'm in, stadium for the first time. My eyes are just wide. My very first game, there's a picture of me holding a flag and I'm crying. And I'm just like, because I just can't believe how this has happened. I was so grateful.
Yeah.
I was taking everything, and I take everything in, honestly, whether how big or small it is. I'm just a very grateful person.
Yeah.
So like, I was legitimately always in awe at everything that happened, especially my rookie year, because I was seeing so many new things. And then my second year, and then my third year, and then COVID happened. But, that took a toll on all of us. But after that, my fourth year happened, my fifth year happened. And throughout all of those years, we have an award ceremony that we have at the end of every year. And I was voted most spirited every single year that I was on the team.
Wow.
And it's a team voted award. So, which makes it even more special because that is an award for me simply being myself. And that was something that I didn't have to fake, pretend, because I genuinely was me and people saw that. And it was like, that was the first time I felt validated for being okay just being me. Because throughout my whole life, being me got me bullied. Being here got me celebrated. And I felt like I have finally made that full circle in my life where it was all worth it. Everything that I went through, all the doors that I kicked open, I left open for people behind me, because I made sure I'm never going to be a gatekeeper. If I'm open that door, I'm going to leave a crack. If I can't leave a crack, baby, I'm taking the whole hinges off. It's like, I'm going to make sure people are coming through, because there's no point. There's no point of holding others from achieving what they can achieve, especially when you know how hard it is to achieve that and how hard they're working to get there. Not saying we're having handouts, but we're going to help.
Yeah.
We're going to help. The hand will be out, but it's going to teach you to not bite it. The hand is going to be out, but it's going to teach you to make sure you appreciate this. The hand will be there, but just make sure you know how to take it and don't take it for granted. And that is something that I was taught the hard way. And that's something that I now know how to advocate for other people as well as myself. So Ravens has literally changed my life. It saved my life. It saw me through highs, saw me through very lows, saw me through breakups. It saw me through tough times. It saw me through, sickness, sadness, but they also saw me through happiness. They took me around the world. They showed me tons of things that I would never been able to see.
Yeah. So something that I want to emphasize here is that you mentioned how being your truest self and throughout a long period of time pays out the biggest dividends.
Yep.
Because when we're babies, we're told not to do this, that, and then you go into the real world as a child and a young adult, and you're constantly being put in a box. Right, which changes you in some way. And that's when things like anxiety start kicking in and stuff like that, because you feel like you're not really being your truest self, and like there's something missing. But it sounds like that you always kept you to you and who you are. And that's something Jack and I always talk about. Is it's tough to do. It's not easy.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. And more often than not, it's more challenging days than rewarding days.
Yes.
But when those rewarding days come, man, do they make all of it worth it. All of it worth it.
Tenfold.
So, and something we also talk about is, in regards to people in your life, is when you're your truest self, the only thing you could hope is that the right people stay. And the ones that shouldn't be there,
get out.
Head out.
Get out of here.
Which just sounds like because you found your family.
Yes.
And they changed your life.
Yes.
And now you've become an even more amplified, capable version of Ray. So
I couldn't have said it better myself.
My man.
Yes, sir.
My man.
But no, I appreciate that.
Man, you're an amazing. I mean, you've been blowing me away so far. But you mentioned one of the memorable moments, and I think I saw the one video of you on Instagram, because you shared it on Instagram. Is when you got nominated that one year. You're just like going all crazy.
Oh my God, my Spirit Award. Yes.
Do you have any other memorable moments like that in your time with the Ravens that you want to share?
Yeah. So other than Spirit Award, that. It's great, 4-time Spirit Award winner. Woohoo. But no, they also, I've loved traveling, as we know, and I just am such an adrenaline junkie, and I really love to go around and like see new places. But of course, financial burdens definitely will, not have it. But everyone loves to travel, right? So you can't never travel if you don't have the money to.
Yeah.
So
And we're definitely going to go into
We're
that a
definitely
little bit
into
too.
that.
But before we do, I do want to ask you a few
Got
more
me.
questions about your time with the NFL and
absolutely,
the Ravens too. So I'm just curious to know what that life looks like a little bit more.
Yeah.
What does the life of like a male cheerleader look like on a regular basis?
So
I don't feel like that's something many people know.
yes. So actually, that's actually a great question. On the regular basis for male cheerleaders in NFL, our stories are a little different because there is glitz, there's glam, but people don't really know we exist because they're just like, oh, we see the girls, that's just what it is. But we're here too, and the Ravens has had male cheerleaders in the NFL for 20 plus years, and now there's so many other teams with male cheerleaders as well. It's amazing to see the trajectory of all the male cheerleaders. But as a male cheerleader, we go into the games, we have appearances, we meet all the fans, we get to see all the people that look up to us, and there's actually a bunch of people now who are like, oh my God, we want to see the male cheerleaders, like, oh, we want to see you. And then, we just go in, our workouts, of course, are strenuous, all of us, and, it's honestly, and I hate to, be so cliche, but it is like you're dreaming, honestly, because you're waking up and it's what we call a castle, but it's our, facility where we practice, and it looks like legit a football field, and the castle is in there right in front of you, and you're practicing there, and you're like, what is happening?
Yeah.
And then, we practice 2 times a week. We work out, 4 times. We go to open gyms, and we just constantly are getting better at our craft.
Okay.
And, we're just making sure that we're physically fit because people's lives are in our hands, literally, because I'm a stunt man.
Right.
So I throw people in the air. We have a stunt team and a dance team. And, as the stunters, we legitimately are holding people on our hands. There's 2 feet. Sometimes there's 1 foot in my hand.
I've seen videos of those things. I don't know how you guys do it. That's
I
insane.
didn't know how to do it at first either.
That's so scary.
It is, but with trust, and we trust each other a lot.
Yeah.
We trust each other so much. Like I said, that family thing really comes into play because if you don't trust your partner in life, but especially in cheerleading, especially with us, it's never going to work. So you have to develop that trust, that bond, and we do that very well. But, being a male cheerleader in the NFL, we deal with our own, bullying. We deal with our own, outside things, but within our organizations, they treat us amazingly. Like, they love us. We're just as important as the girls, and they see us. They see us, especially now more than ever. But they see us. And
what are some common misconceptions of being a male cheerleader?
Yeah. So the biggest misconception of being a male cheerleader is, that we're weak, or we, for a lack of a better term, we just don't. What am I trying to say here? Yeah, honestly, people they think that all of us are, and I don't mean to say this in any way that will be taken out of context, so don't cancel me. But no, that everybody just thinks that all male cheerleaders are like sissies, or that they're all, gay or effeminate or whatever, but that's not the case. There's so many different types of people who identify with so many types of different things. But at the end of the day, they also think that they're sleeping with all the girls, and they're like, oh, you're on the team just to sleep with all the girls. Oh, that guy, he's just on there to sleep with everybody, or stuff like that. So people just...
Is that a thing?
It probably is, but it's not a thing over there. It's not a thing on Ravens. But no, it's just people... They just think that it's a free-for-all.
Okay.
Once you get in there, you can have everything. You can have all the girls, but that's just not the case. It's literally a family.
And based on what you're saying, it doesn't sound like it's a family. Yeah,
It's literally a family.
Right. So that'd be a little weird in
just
that
a little
case.
weird.
Yeah.
But and they're strong. We're strong, very strong, and we legit throw people in the air. So
yeah,
take that as you want.
just another day in the office.
Just another day in the office. You know what I'm saying?
So and as you shared your story going into it and how you got in there. Looking back in the 5 years you've been there now, if someone that wants to be in your shoes, what you're doing now, what's a piece of advice you could give them?
So the best piece of advice that I can give someone who wants to do, like what I'm doing, especially going into the NFL, or even just becoming the first cheerleader or first of anything, trust your gut. Understand that it's going to feel unnatural. But getting there is the first step, and you need to be proud of yourself every step of the way. So I always say, as long as you put yourself in the position to get yourself towards your dream, then you've already made the first step that you never would have taken. So take that first step. The first step is applying yourself. Then applying yourself will get you to the next step, which is creating something. And then creating turns into opening. Opening turns into, wow, this is actually happening. And actually happening turns into, damn, I'm here. And it won't be easy. Trust your gut. Your gut normally doesn't steer you wrong, or you just have indigestion. But it's yeah, no, definitely trust your gut, because it usually doesn't lie. But if you want to, be a male cheerleader in the NFL, I say do your research on the team that you're, going for, and, just go to open gyms, just make sure this is the right fit for you, because this is where you are going to be spending your time. So make sure this is the right family for you. Make sure it's the right fit for you. And if it is, I say do it. I say do anything that you can put your mind to, anything you can positively achieve. I say you do it. Yeah.
Trust your gut.
Trust your gut. And attitude is a choice.
Attitude is a choice.
Yes, please. It is a choice. It sounds so crazy, but attitude is literally a choice.
So one of the things we didn't really go into was, before we move on, is I imagine you were on TV being the cheerleading team.
Yes.
What's that like? What's going on through your head when all that's happening?
Yeah.
Are you specifically trying to get some airtime?
Yeah.
It's like,
I'm like, let me come here. Yeah. So it's crazy out there.
Yeah.
So on the sidelines, when everything's going wild, the camera people are down. The news are all down there. The camera stations are down there. And they're like, all right. And as soon as that camera pans to you, you better not be standing there.
Yeah.
You better not just be like, you gotta do the robot. No, you gotta be hyped. We're like, oh yeah, we're throwing people in the air. We're doing backflips. We're tumbling all over the place, and we're just like, yeah, let's go. But you don't stop. We're amping it up, because even if it's a 1 second that you see it on there, we did it. We're like, oh, there I am. But no, it's always a friendly fight.
Yeah.
For that airtime,
Love
for that
that.
camera time. But it's amazing though.
But even, and then I think it's going to be a good transition to the next topic, is it's not the only time you're on TV.
Yeah.
It's like you're a natural at this point, right?
Allegedly.
You were just recently in the TV show on Crackle called Going From Broke.
Yes. Great
So,
experience.
How do you end up on that? Just I don't understand how you end up into cheerleading, and you tell us, walk us through the same thing again. How do you end up there?
So, during this time, when I was Going From Broke, I was in such again, shocker, bad point in my life.
But I'm sorry, before you go into your personal journey of it, what exactly is Going From Broke?
Going From Broke? Yeah.
What happens in the show?
So Going From Broke is a show on Crackle TV where they help individuals who have financial burdens and who just basically don't know how to become the CEOs of their own life. And they teach you the foundations of, the building blocks that you need to literally become the CEO of your own life. They change your everyday things and they make it your assets. And it's like you can use those assets to now make you money. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people have no idea that does even exist. The things you would think aren't assets are really assets. And, and it's something that, they go into when they come into your life and they say, okay, what's your story? And they say, why are you in debt? Or where did debt come from? Or oh, do you have generational curses? Or are you just negligent? or you just don't understand.
Yeah.
So it's just, they come into your life and they financially, help you, but they make you do the work. This isn't a handout. They say, all right, this is our homework we're going to give you. This is what you need to do. If you choose to follow it, it'll change your life. And if you choose not to follow it, then that's on you. So you are legitimately in control to become the CEO of your life.
I'm seeing a common theme here. Earn, not given. There you
Exactly.
go. So how did you end up participating in the show?
So, I was going through to, again, bring it to a gloomy place, but it gets happy, I promise. But, I was going through a hard time, and I went through a really, really bad breakup at this time. And, Ravens, I was letting that affect me at Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
I, of course, was happy and things like that, but I wasn't myself. And people were starting to notice it. I would just randomly break out into tears. Newsflash, I could like to cry, sorry. But it's an emotion, it's okay. But I just wasn't feeling myself. Mentally, I just was really, sorry. Mm-hmm. Mentally, I was just really, really down. Not too much. But, No, mentally, I just was in a bad spot. You know what I mean? And, I left my really, really bad situation. And I was just like, all right. At a point, I was living in my car. I was living in a hotel because I didn't want to tell my family. I didn't want to tell my friends that I was going through this bad time because I was like, everybody thinks that my life is great. And if I tell anybody that my life isn't going how they think it's going, they're going to be disappointed in me. But that was just me getting in my head.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking like, oh, all these people who like are rooting for me, all these people who have been rooting for me for these past 3+ years are going to be like, oh, like he's like, what? I'm disappointed in him. But that was my inner demons like saying, you don't deserve to have happiness, because I was really down. So I was like, that was the perfect time for those bad thoughts to come in and try to keep you there. And I'm not gonna lie, it almost took a toll on me where I was like, I can't get out of this. Like I really can't mentally get myself out of this. So there was one point where I sat on my bed in the hotel room and I was like, Ray, I said, this is not you. I said, you cannot do this to yourself. Because I got really, really sick. It was the flu. And I was like, it's fine. Like, just go ahead and just let this pass and you'll be fine. Like, this is the last straw. Because I could have just easily just gave up. Easily. But I said, no, Ray, your purpose is much bigger than this. And I said, and you are going through a hard time, but you are the one person to be there for everyone else. So it's now time for you to be here for yourself. And that was the trajectory for me to say, you know what, Ray, it is time to be selfish. It is time to put yourself first and get yourself back together.
There you go.
And that is when I reached out to the show. And it's random as hell because I'm just on Facebook scrolling through and I'm like, whatever. And it was like, are you broke? I said, yes. And it was like, are you going through financial strain? I said, absolutely. They said, did you go through a period in your life where, you don't know where to go next? And I said, as I sit on this hotel bed and I could have been at my family's house, you're damn right. I'm putting myself.
Is this a commercial? Right. It sounds like a commercial.
Yeah, it was a lovely prompted ad that was very relevant at the time. I said, Siri, you did it again. You see my circumstance and you recommended something that actually is helping me. But no, I saw it and I was like, wait a minute. I said, this gotta be a sign. And it legitimately came up after, and I wish I could make this up, but it legitimately came after I almost gave up on myself. And that sign was like, no, Ray, you know better. You know that you have a bigger purpose. And that's the thing that everyone has in them. It just really takes some digging deep. Because just when you're on that brink of just giving up, just know that your purpose is much bigger than that sad moment. A permanent solution for a temporary problem is never the cause. Yeah.
I don't want people to miss this gem you're dropping.
Absolutely. But yeah, a temporary sadness is never the option for a permanent solution. And that was something that I want people to understand, that it is okay to go through those hard times. And it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be depressed. It's okay to have anxiety. It's okay. And it's okay to say you're not okay. And it's also okay to ask for help.
Yep.
And that is what it taught me, because when I saw that ad, I was like, Ray, there's no damn way you're going to not apply. You need help. I was like, you're not going to tell your family that you're going through this. You haven't told your friends that you're going through this. The Ravens have no idea what you're going through. It was like, everybody just thinks you're so happy and that you can't go through something. And I was like, but sunshines fade too. And they do set every day. So why am I putting so much pressure to be the sunshine for everybody else when my light is dimmed every single day?
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? It's time for me to spark my flame again. And I saw that and I said, apply. Just fucking apply. Sorry, everybody who doesn't like cursing. Just fucking apply. And I was just like, I need help. And I'm going to ask for it. So I applied for the show. And I didn't hear anything back for a little bit. And then one day I just got this phone call. And it was like, hey, like we want to have a meeting with you. And it was the producers from the show. And I was like, what? I said, yes, we can talk. I said, we can talk all day. And then they, like, long story short is, after reaching out for help, I realized that doors, which was the show, and the people who were talking to me, and the producers, like, Ray, you don't understand that your gift is so strong, and like you have the ability to give others light, but you also have the ability to see that you also need it yourself. And I was like, yeah, because there's no way that I can make sure everyone's okay when I'm in shambles. And I was in absolute shambles, and I was trying to piece everybody else together because that's what made me feel right.
You're touching on such a strong point, and I don't want to just let that slide through. Is because sometimes people think that being selfish is not okay.
Right.
One of my favorite quotes that I've heard by someone that I follow is that I'm all right with being selfish because it allows me to be selfless.
Yes.
So
exactly.
And that leads into you can't pour out of an empty cup.
Yes.
And the more that you have in your cup, the more you can pour in others' cups.
Yep. And that's exactly.
That's super strong, and I don't want people to miss that because you're dropping gem after gem after gem after gem. So I want to highlight those because they're powerful and they're strong. And something Jack and I speak about often, and I don't know if you remember me saying this, Jack, is sometimes to test new highs, you need to test new lows.
Yes. And I was testing those new lows. And it definitely, that applies. That's strong. I like that. Because I definitely didn't think that I was going to be able to get out of that. And I was like, this is the lowest I've been in my life since my dad passed.
There you go.
And I said, whoa, how do I get out? How am I going to get myself out of this? And I took the leap of faith, asked for that help, and it opened up a legitimate new high for me to have, which was the show. And I said, and that put me in a spot where I was like, Ray, you have to do the work, because this isn't just a coincidence. This is a reap of the things that you have sown for yourself. And those are the fruits of your labor that you literally said that you wouldn't to do for yourself. Because I was like, Ray, it's time for you to be selfish. And, and like you said, to be more selfless, which is amazing because, like you said, people think selfishness is bad, which, in a way, yeah, it can be. But when you have good intent with things, it's not bad. But, they came into my life at the worst part. I was losing my job at that time, and, I wasn't going to work, and then my car broke down. And I said, there's nothing I can do. Yeah. And then I went home. Then I had to tell the family, like, all right, this was going on. Like, everything's happening. Like, why didn't you tell us sooner? And it's like, then I broke down. I was like, because I didn't want people disappointed in me. And that's what people deal with a lot. And, people can't be disappointed in what you've done, because that is something that you're putting onto them, because that's something that you are feeling for yourself. It's projection. But the show found them by an ad, and I auditioned. I tried out, not auditioned. It's not that, but I sent in my story, and they called me. They said, there's much more to you that we think you see. Like you have a beautiful light, and we want to help you. Yeah. And they came into my life, and they taught me so much about finances, and I realized that I did have a generational curse of, like, because finances were not taught. They were not taught in school, unfortunately. I love y'all. School, I do. I promise y'all. Y'all know I love y'all. But it wasn't taught. It was not taught. Yeah. And being in survival mode growing up, my family, they taught us how to survive, because that's all we needed to do. And it got us through. But no one taught them.
Just real quick, Arthur, in school, Arthur is here as well, by the way. He was just in the last episode that was released. Arthur, did they teach you in school to do your taxes? Hell no. No, you're fine, yeah. In college, yes. What classes did you take? Okay. So when your own taxes. In college, yes. Okay. Do they teach you how to acquire income generating assets? Okay. It's something you learn at the dinner table with your parents and grandparents. Right. So, which goes into exactly what you're saying. Is that something that's a conversation you weren't able to have? It never
came up. Yeah.
So you could say sorry to college because they teach some things, but they don't teach the things.
Right.
So yeah.
And that is exactly it. And that was a generational curse that my family was plagued with. That it was coming down unintentionally because, again, survival mode was the key. And I said, you know what? I need to break it because I've seen my family struggle years. And I, for a long time, put the burden on my back that I was the savior to my family because I needed to save them because I was the free one. I didn't have the kids. I don't have, quote unquote, things holding me from pursuing something to change my family's life. But that wasn't something that they put on me at all. They wanted me to genuinely be happy with whatever I did. But I saw how much they sacrificed for me, so it was my time to give back for them. And I said, Ray, you can't help anybody if you literally can't help yourself. So I said, it's time for you to get your shit together. I had a hard talk with myself, and I said, my boy, get your shit together. You did this to yourself. And it's time to fix it because you can fix it. But yeah, the generational curse, I didn't know I was plagued with it. I just knew that I was just surviving. I just figured that was just the way of life. But, after they taught me to use my assets and they, going through and putting me through these tasks, the homework, and I really, everyone, if you check out the show, it's called Going From Broke on Crackle TV, and you can download it anywhere. Streaming services are available, smartphones, TVs, all that good stuff. But season 4, episode 1, check it out. When there's a will, there's a Ray. But yeah. So that's the episode.
And while you're at it, subscribe to the EP podcast.
Absolutely. Right here.
There you go.
But no, they opened my eyes. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
Yeah, we went into the show. I want to talk about specifically the show, not just the story, your story in the show.
Yeah.
From what I saw as the viewer of the show is you went in there, you had all this debt, you were essentially stuck.
Yep.
You didn't know what the hell to do.
Yep.
And you were just essentially like just frozen, right?
You literally.
So and then they checked you at one point.
They did.
They checked you. They're like, all right, Ray, you have a car that's been sitting out there that needs repair.
Yep.
That you put a deposit on the cruise.
Right. You see that?
So what's happening here?
You see that?
So and that's why you brought up negligent earlier.
Yep, because that's me. I was very negligent because I was hiding from my problems. I said, you know what, Ray? If you can suppress all these things, like you don't have to deal. It'll go away, because I'm like, debt disappears. It doesn't. It doesn't. Compound interest is a thing. We'll get into it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
How are your legs, by the way?
They're amazing.
Okay.
They're a little sore after the sprints, but it's fine. Watch the show, you'll understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I was thinking like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I never knew this. Like it just doesn't make sense. Like, how didn't I know how to use assets? And I was like, yes, I did go on the cruise. And I paid for the cruise instead of getting my car fixed because I said my car will just it's fine. It'll something magically will fix my car. Something magically get rid of the debt. And I was that's not how it works. That's not how it works.
That's how it works.
Yeah. So get your shit together.
Assets. You talk about assets. Can you tell us what assets are to people that don't know what that is?
Absolutely. So I can give you the best asset, that mostly everyone, has, or if you don't, someone who has one. But your car, if you do have a car, it's your biggest asset.
Okay.
If you're fortunate enough to have a car, it's your biggest asset. And most people
before you dive into that, a lot of people, when the first thing I'm sure that triggered a lot of finance people.
Yeah.
Because they immediately consider that a depreciating asset.
Exactly.
But I know where you're going with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely take us there.
Yeah. So, going that route of, using your car as your asset, because you're right, you are paying so much into this car. Notes, insurance, repairs, etc. So you're just literally throwing money into something, and it's a hole now. It's just a money pot, and it's just like, how can I make this my asset? But Lyft is something that I was presented with on the show that I had no idea to even think to drive Lyft. My car could have had my car needed repairs. I could have Lyft and got it fixed, or even after my car was fixed, I could have did that. Before my car broke down, I could have did that. I had no idea that I could use that as an asset. I'm like, well, when you think of Lyft, you just think of getting in other people's cars. You don't think you could be the Lyft driver.
Imagine that.
Yeah, imagine you're the driver. So I was like, no, I didn't think about that. So, I got to meet, the
co-founder and president.
Yes, John Zimmer. How was that? It was amazing. He's a great guy. Excuse me. Sorry.
Yep, you're fine.
vibrating. I
No,
thought,
it's
I
fine.
thought
It's
it was
okay.
on Do
It's
Not
okay.
Disturb.
It's okay.
You know?
It's okay.
You
It's
know what
okay.
I'm
He's an
saying?
important guy. Only hanging out here with the president of Lyft, Mr. Zimmer
Great.
himself.
He's a great guy. But no, so Dan from the show, he introduced me to John, and he said, Ray, you've had this car that was a burden to you, and it's time to make it your asset. And Lyft is the perfect way to change something that is literally depreciating and you're throwing so much money into. Now you can make that money back and more. With something that is so flexible as Lyft, you can do it whenever you want. You can do it at your own pace. You can legitimately take over what the rewards that they have for you. They have so many things that you can get from it. You can make so much money from Lyft. And people have no idea about it because they just think, I don't want people in my car, or they don't just think about it. But you can change so much by just using your assets, like for this example, your car.
Yeah.
And just getting yourself.
And let's also add on the fact that not only were you doing that, you were also doing other jobs at the same time.
Yes.
So you were in the green zone.
I was.
After they broke down your finances.
Yep.
And then you guys had a plan, because one of the things that Dan said was, it's easier to get lost when you don't have a plan.
Yep.
Right.
And I had no plan.
Right. And then once you had a plan,
It was so much easier.
you had it would turn into a financial pregnancy.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. 9 months.
Because you went from 18 months to 9 months.
9 months. Yep.
As a scheduled date to pay off your debt.
Yep.
So that's amazing. That's amazing. So that specific example of where you were talking about what is it? Compounding interest.
Yes.
We spoke about assets and compounding interest. Can you walk us through that scenario with you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you guys the less, stressed out version, but you don't have to run any sprints. But no, compound interest can work for you or can work against you. And compound interest is basically, the interest that acquires on all of the money that you're putting into something that you owe. So let's say you have $100 and your interest is going up. You don't pay, I'm not going to pay this month. It's going to keep going up. I'm not going to pay this. I'm not going to pay this. Now you owe $2,000 or whatever because you're not paying on it. And the interest is not going to stop just because you're stopping. And that is something that I thought, if I don't pay, then nothing's going to go up.
Yep.
That's literally not the case. It's going to keep going up. But the opposite of that is if you're putting money away, if you're putting money into your savings, if you're putting money into something that's going to, increase on that, which is, the Roth account, and those are savings accounts, like those are making you money. And those are things that people, aren't taught. And those are things that people are like, I can't, like, what's that? Like, I need my money now. Why am I going to save it? But the money you're saving money is making money for you, and you're putting money into something that has interest that's going to work for you instead of against you when you're not paying for it.
We were just talking about compounding interest and how I've always only heard it going up and how it's working for you versus against for you.
Yep.
And I thought it was very interesting how Dan showed you that through the exercise that he did. Yeah. So if you haven't seen that already, please go watch it on Crackle. There's a reason why he opened up the season. There's a reason why. And I watched it like 4 times now. And not like having it playing on the side 4 times. Like I'm sitting down watching it.
I appreciate you, man.
It's great. It's great. It's not only great TV. It's motivating. It's captivating, and your energy goes through the TV.
Thank you.
But we spoke about that. We spoke about you meeting the president, the co-president of Lyft. Yep. And your interaction with him. But you also met someone else. There was we didn't really speak into. In the show, this wasn't touched on much because we had some ground to cover.
Yeah.
Some things to adjust before we explore all things.
Yes.
And this is actually something that we were talking about earlier because someone asked me earlier, like, how did you become so, like, how did you start going into your creative stuff? And I said, well, first, I couldn't tell you what the hell I wanted to do at the end of high school, right?
Right.
I needed to get my fundamentals, in place before I start being creative.
Yeah.
Right. And one of the things you mentioned in the show was that you wanted to be a realtor. You've always wanted to be a realtor.
Yes.
Right. And specifically, you said that you enjoy watching Selling Sunset. The Selling Sunset on Netflix.
Yes.
Who doesn't know it?
Yes.
And specifically, you were talking about Chris Shell.
Yes. Love Chris Shell.
And then, what do you know?
So, next thing I know, I am getting a beautiful message, and I'm speaking with Chriselle, and she's letting me know, that she's rooting for me, and that she wishes the best for me, and that she wants to take me out there and look at the office one day. And I'm just like, yo, this is crazy because I love Chriselle so much, and Selling Sunset is one of my favorite shows, and I am now in real estate school right now. So yeah. So I am in real estate school right now. So, I just wanted to, officially save that. So that is an EP exclusive.
Breaking news.
Yeah,
EP
that is an EP
exclusive.
exclusive. I am officially,
We're selling Baltimore over here.
Yes, we are. You heard it here first. Trademark. Anybody else take it? Gotta come through us. But no, but yeah. So I'm studying right now to finish my real estate, and then I should be completed by the end of the summer. And
man.
Yeah,
I'll be there to celebrate it, man.
my guy.
That's not to get an invite, of course.
Yeah, I mean,
I know you
you're
like
invited,
famous
you're
and stuff.
invited,
You like famous and stuff.
Yeah, nah.
If you remember me,
No way.
That's so fun. I mean, everybody knows Selling Sunset. I mean,
Yes.
it's a very entertaining show. I forget what the brokerage is.
The Oppenheim Group.
Oppenheim Group.
Yep.
Yep. There's a famous YouTuber who's well known with them. Graham Stephan.
Okay.
Does that sound familiar to you? Graham Stephan, he's like that financial guy on YouTube that's always talking about credit cards and all that stuff like
get
that.
into it.
Yeah, he was friends with one of the twins.
Okay.
And they actually kind of like grew up in the business together. And he used to work in the brokerage.
In the
and he was
group.
he was in the show a couple episodes. So again, like here in Delaware, everybody knows each other.
That's how that small that
Everybody
is.
knows it. And it's so cool that because now you have access to that.
Yes. It's amazing.
That's pretty powerful, dude.
It's awesome, and I couldn't believe it. But
Yeah.
I'm there. I'm like I'm on my way.
Dude, that's insane. When I was like, no freaking, I was so excited for you. And last but not least, in regards to the show, and I will ask you a more relevant question after that.
Yeah. What?
I'm gonna have to ask, man.
All right. What's up? What's up?
Dude wipes.
Shout out to Dude Wipes. Shout out Dude Wipes.
What is this?
Come on. So let me tell you guys, if you don't know what a Dude Wipe is, I'm going to change your life. So Dude Wipes are the most wonderful wipes that you could have. You feel like the best thing walking after you wipe with a Dude Wipe. You got a dude, you got a wipe. So yeah, it's all good. Anyone can use them, but
So yeah, and there was a lot of
lots of
jokes
emphasis on Dude
happening,
Wipes, and they sponsored me.
Yeah.
So Dude Wipes sponsored me. So I appreciate you guys. I love you, Dude Wipes. Thank you so much for sponsoring me. And that is, definitely something that helped me a lot because I use Dude Wipes every day. TMI. Yeah, I just love them, and I appreciate them for sponsoring me. So thank you, Dude Wipes. So Chriselle, Dude Wipes, all my favorite people, all my favorite things, all in one.
Is winning all around,
all
man.
around lift. Like,
So and okay, so just to close out on the show specific on going from broke,
yeah.
finishing it, airing, people watching it, talking to you about it. Biggest takeaways, reflecting on it now. What are they?
Biggest takeaway is that it's okay to ask for help and never feel ashamed for needing help. And never feel like you are too down bad to get out of it. Because there's always a better purpose on the other side, and every single person is worth it. Everybody is worth it. No matter how bad you feel, it will get better.
It will get better.
Yes.
But with TV,
Yeah.
going from broke, it's not the only place you've gone.
I may have gone somewhere else.
There's a show called Beat Shazam.
Yes. Big Jamie Foxx fan.
What is this show? Tell us about the show. What's the purpose of the show?
So Beat Shazam is exactly what it sounds like. If you're not familiar with Shazam is a, music app where you have to guess the songs. And, if you got to guess the songs, you have to beat Shazam. So you're beating Shazam. So Shazam is guessing the song before you. So if you guess it before Shazam, you're essentially beating Shazam. So hence that's what the name is after. But, allegedly, I don't know why I said that. But you are, in a room with a big old Shazam ball, and it's playing a song like maybe 15 seconds. You guess the song, and if Shazam gets it before you do, you obviously, you lose out. But, I went on, I met Jamie Foxx. I was on Beach Zam, season 8.
What's that like? Because it's Jamie is hosting the show, and also his daughter is in it.
Yes, Corinne.
Yeah. So what is like working with Jamie? Because Jamie Foxx is not just any guy.
No, he's the guy.
Yeah. So what's that like?
Yo, Jamie Foxx is so cool. Like, he's so funny. He is genuinely what you see is what you expect from him to be. He's just like that. People always say don't meet your idols, or they say don't meet your favorite celebrities and things like that. But he is awesome. Like, he wasn't rude. He wasn't mean. There was nothing that was like, ugh, like, wow. But he was amazing. And his like companionship with his daughter, you can tell that they're like the best of friends. And that's real. And I felt the joy, I felt the love, and being in that room with them all. Like, he tried to do a backflip with us when we were doing the backflip. Like, he jumped on us when we had picked him up after we did our little cheer with them on there. So he's just a fun guy. He loves just life. He's a great guy. He's awesome.
He's a ray of sunshine, huh?
He is a ray of sunshine, but not too much, because I am the ray of sunshine.
You're the ray of sunshine.
But no, just kidding. I love you, Jamie, and Corinne, you as well. But I think that Beach Shazam was amazing.
So Beach Shazam is a show where you have to guess a song and eventually go up against Shazam, right?
Yes, to win $1 million. Yes, if you can beat Shazam, you'll win $1 million.
What is so? Did you win?
Watch the show. It's on Hulu.
Okay.
Season 4, episode 8.
There you go. So, man, that's great. And also, I think we should also acknowledge the fact that, Mr. Fox is dealing with some health complications at this current time.
Sending lots of love, honestly.
So, on behalf of us and everyone here, we wish Mr. Fox, Jamie Foxx, a speedy recovery.
Yes.
He's joy to a lot of people.
Yes.
So we definitely need him to be in good conditions to keep on keeping us smiling.
Yeah, we love you, Jamie, and we're here for you. We're sitting on your love, and thank you for always keeping us smiling and happy. And we got you. You're gonna be great. Family got you. Everything's gonna be fine.
Mm-hmm. But it's not the only show you've been. I still don't know. Okay, but before I even move on to the next thing, how did you get there? How did you land that spot?
So Ravens, thankfully, Ravens has a big part in there because being a Ravens cheerleader, again, that it just opens up doors for you. And they just so happen to be looking for Ravens cheerleaders. I mean, they just so happen to be looking for professional cheerleaders. And I just happened to be one. And I was like, oh, well, let me just apply for this show. Like, I know music. I love music. I was like, let me just apply for the show. And I didn't hear anything back. And then all of a sudden they were like, hey, like, are you interested in still being in the show? I was like, absolutely. So auditioned for the show. Me and my teammates went up there and it was like, okay, Ray, choose your person. I went through a couple of things and then chose my person. And then me and my brother Melvin, we were there. And this was the second time, that we, gone through some like awesome things together because like I said, that's like my brother. Yeah. So like I'm happy I got to share that with him. So yeah, Melvin, awesome. Shout out to you, boy. Thank you for being my Beach Shazam ride or die.
Opportunities, man. Just keep on falling.
Yes.
Man. From the Ravens to going from broke to Beach Shazam.
Yes.
And then to Wendy Williams.
Yes, my girl Wendy. I was on the Wendy Williams show as well. Yeah, I did a little segment on there with her, and it like she's also a hoot, but a hoot. But yeah, I just really look back and I was just like, wow, I really met Wendy Williams. And being on there, and I made a fool out of myself on there, but it's fine. We all had
I did not see it was Nelly.
See what I mean?
What game were you playing, man?
So it was like, the game on there was called Masked, like Masked Wendy. Yeah, thank you so much. See, I knew. Thank you. I almost said Masked Singer like she did. But yeah, so it was Masked Wendy. We had to guess a celebrity, and it was Nelly, but it did not look like Nelly. And Nelly even commented on my my post on my Instagram, and he was like, dude, how did you not know that was me? I was like, bro, like I promise. Like I literally promised, like I didn't know. He was like, nah, you're good. So he's cool. He was funny. And I actually met him again at a Ravens game.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. So he came to a Ravens game and was like, yo.
He said, remember me now.
Remember this space. But now like we all, like the group of us took a picture with him. But I was like, this is so crazy. Like I guessed you wrong and here you are again.
I love that,
but yeah,
dude.
So Wendy Williams, I was there. She's great. And I'm again sending love to her as well. I hope everything, was good.
Dude, I cannot wait to see your next TV feature, man. Because every time it's like you're such a natural, dude. No wonder you end up in these spots because you make it. It no longer becomes Beach Shazam. It doesn't become, no disrespect to them.
Yeah.
Wendy Williams. It doesn't become Going From Broke. It becomes The Ratio.
Oh my gosh.
The Ratio. It's what it becomes. Like, honestly, because it's like even here today at the EP podcast, I've almost haven't had to say anything because you just take it on. You just take it on and it just flows in you, man. It's amazing to see.
Thank you.
But I'm curious to know if your appearances on TV, you're cheering in the Ravens team, does it flow like that in the kitchen? Chef Ray, vegan all day. So you are a vegan.
Yes, I am. 8 years strong.
8 years strong.
8 years strong.
You know, we recently had a vegan on the podcast.
Okay.
And she told us that the hardest part about becoming vegan is not you becoming vegan, is getting the others around you to accept that or work with you on that.
Yes. That is, and I can tell that's very true because, you know, when you are the only one, it's hard to remember. It's hard to conform. It's hard to include because, you know, it's like, oh, what are they going to eat?
Yeah.
And everyone assumes that we eat rabbit food all day. And, you know, granted, yeah, we do love our rabbit food, but it's not what we eat all day, which is, you know, something that I'm happy that I segued into with Let's Veganize It on Instagram is I am changing everyday meals into vegan meals. And again,
that's your vegan page,
it's
right?
Vegan page, yeah. Sorry, yeah, that's my vegan page. Let's Veganize It. It's in my bio as well.
So brandable.
Let's Veganize It. Because I said, you know what? Yeah, that's a cheesesteak. Let's veganize it. Yeah. So I'm changing, you know, regular things into vegan meals. And unfortunately, like I'm vegan because I unfortunately can't digest meat.
Okay. That was gonna be my next question.
Yeah.
Why are you vegan? Is it for religious health?
Yeah.
Okay.
So ultimately, I can't digest meat. Yes, I can technically eat meat. I would just have to take a little medicine, whatever, or I'll just let it, go through. But nobody got time for that. Like, if I don't have to, why am I gonna put myself through that?
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, so I chose that step to be like, you know what, Ray. You can't digest the meat. You're lactose intolerant. You got all these things going on. Like, why don't you just try veganism? And I was like, there's no way I can be vegan. I need my cheese. I need my chicken. I need my meat.
Right.
But, but after 8 years, it's like, I don't even know what it's like to not. You know what I mean? So it's just, it's easier than people think, but it's also hard because the people around you, like she said, they sometimes forget, and then you go places and there's nothing for you, and you're like, dang, or you have to learn.
To that point, before you go any further, it's something that I loved that the last person that we had that was vegan, he said you are even able to identify who some of your most considerate friends are.
Boom.
Why? Because your friends, there's two types of friends when it comes to that world. There's the one that says, hey, let's go to this restaurant and hope that they might have some vegan options there. Or they right off the bat tell you, hey, this is vegan restaurant that we could all go to.
Right.
Have you taken note of that? Like, is that a thing that you've noticed yourself?
Yes, because I've had some friends, that will invite me out, and they'll be like, and I'll get there, and I'm like, oh, why aren't you? I was like, well, I can't eat anything here. And they're like, oh, they have a salad. But see, that is the generic answer that everyone gives. Like, we are not rabbits.
Yeah.
We do not just want rabbit food.
Right.
And it's just like, yes, again, we love it, but that's not what we want. But then I have my friends that go, hey, let's go out to eat. They have vegan options here. We have regular options and vegan options. You want to go here or you want to go there? And I'm like, see, they're the friends that care about, wanting to genuinely be like around me and hang out with me and things like that. And they care about my lifestyle, what I chose to do with myself. And they're accepting that. And then, so you can tell when people are intentional, you can tell they're good in them. And then when people are just like, oh, shoot, it's like, so am I really that important? I mean, you just
makes you think, huh?
Yeah, you have a question.
What's up?
Yeah.
Ray, okay, so since you're vegan, what's your favorite quote unquote like meat alternative? Is it
I was just gonna go into that. That's a great question.
or something else?
I think I was gonna ask you, Summer, what are your favorite vegan recipes or like plates?
Yeah, so I'll answer both. My favorite vegan protein is pea protein. because that is the highest level of protein that you can get from plants. And seitan is also
I love peas.
Peas are so good.
Yeah.
They're really, really good. Seitan is also really good as well because you can manipulate that into any form of meat that you would like. Same thing with pea protein. But pea protein, you can just drink it as a protein shake. You can have it as, and make it into impossible meat because that's what they use for. I meant Beyond Meat because that's what they use for that as well. But seitan is also good, but you just can't use it in a protein shake. And as an athlete, it's something that I need. And Vega is one of the best. They have good pea protein, shakes and things like that. Shout out to them. Thank you. No, that's really good for that. But my favorite recipes is definitely vegan shepherd pie.
Okay.
Because that can go across the board. And that's something that I learned to make for holidays because during the holidays, us vegans, what are we supposed to eat? So it's like, damn, can I get a break? Shit. But no, but it's like, all right, fine. So I learned to make a shepherd's pie, vegan shepherd's pie. So it's mashed potatoes, which are naturally vegan. If you can use almond milk for regular milk. You can use the butter alternatives, or you can use oils for the butter. There's creams, and you can use, like I said, almond, soy, other types, oats, types of things to cream it up. Then, there's the Beyond Meat, or you can use Impossible Meat. There's so many new alternatives as well. And then, of course, vegetables are vegan. And then you just pop that in the oven, and then you let that cook up. You layer it everything. There's a recipe on Let's Veganize It. I'm being very vague right now. My bad, y'all. But yeah, you just put over a nice little pie crust, because all Pillsbury pie crusts are vegan, if you didn't know that. And you just pop it on top, and then you have your shepherd's pie. My family loves it. I also make a banging vegan mac and cheese.
Okay.
So yeah, those are my two
There
favorite.
you go. Okay, yeah, and I'm glad you share why you do it, because I believe the last person we had, they said that it was more for ethical reasons.
Okay.
So that's interesting too, because for the average person, they just eat to eat,
Right.
And the preference are chicken, salmon, whatever surf,
Right.
turf, whatever it might be.
Right.
But with vegans, there's different reasons why they go into it.
Yep.
So for those people that are considering they're going into the vegan lifestyle, because it's not just eating, it's a lifestyle.
It is a lifestyle.
What would you like? What's a word of advice that you would give them?
I would say, again, do your research and know what recipes you like. Know what things that you used to like. Don't think that changing vegan, you have to change everything. Don't think that you are like punishing yourself because you want to do better, or you have to. Because in my circumstances, I had to, and because I realized that I was putting my body through all this pain, and I was like, why am I just gonna keep going through all this when I can just change that? But word of advice to you all, if you want to go vegan, is just make it easy on yourself. Replace one meal that you like once a week, then twice a week. Now you can have meatless Mondays. Then you can have meatless Mondays, and now Taco Tuesdays, and replace that meat or whatever alternatives that you want. And then each day, make it fun for yourself, because when you're doing change and it's fun, you're like, oh, damn, this isn't as bad.
Yeah.
But when you're dreading the change, like, oh, what am I going to eat tomorrow? You're like, I don't want to do this. It's like, well, shit.
It's not a diet.
It's not
It's
a
a
diet.
lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle. And you have to let the lifestyle apply to you. You have to mold it to however you live your life.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you
So,
go.
yeah.
My man, I love that so much. But even as a vegan, how does that impact your travel? Because I know you were talking about traveling earlier, but there's many things that are considered when traveling, but something you have to consider is food.
Yes.
So how does that work for you? I think I recall me seeing one of your Instagram posts. I forget where you were traveling, but you specifically quote like mentioned is like, and no, I was still vegan.
Yes,
So tell us about that.
Yeah, so I recently visited Bahrain, and I went to a Five Guys, with one of my teammates, and we went in there, and I was like, all right, of course there's nothing in there for me, but I was like, all right, let me just explore, maybe there is something vegan over here, maybe they have a vegan sandwich at Five Guys.
Yeah.
Exactly. The fries are always vegan, except for at McDonald's, unfortunately. I'm sorry, y'all. But I said that in my
I
post
was just
as well.
gonna say I love McDonald's.
Yeah, McDonald's fries are not vegan, sadly. I wish they were, because McDonald's does slap low key. But yeah, no, I went there.
Pump the stock.
And and I was like, no, I promised everybody I got fries, because everyone's on my case. They're like, wait, did we just see you eat meat? Because they're trying to catch me slipping. Because technically, like I said, I can still eat meat, but I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're like, did we catch you slipping? I was like, no, I just ate fries. I promise I didn't get Five Guys, y'all. And then there was also vegan McDonald's in Germany, when I went to Germany, there was a vegan McDonald's that I also did a reel on my Instagram at the Ray Cook, and I was like, holy hell, there's like a whole vegan section, and I was so hyped because again, when I travel, I really don't eat that well during the actual travel. When I get to wherever I'm going, you know, they always have some vegan options, but the traveling part of it is the hardest part because airports, you know, they usually don't have vegan options. There are like some airports that have like little vegan things, but it's usually international.
Dude, the airports are the options at the airports are terrible themselves.
Right, and expensive.
Yeah. I was in Costa Rica, not to take you off. But
No,
like,
it's fine.
I spent like freaking $20 on a burger, dude.
See what I'm saying?
Like the wackest burger ever, too.
Pissed.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Don't piss me off.
I kind of like triggered me and my brain that I still haven't recovered from that mentally.
No, but
okay.
you get it.
Yeah.
It's like, dang, I gotta spend all this for nothing.
Yeah.
And then it's like, yeah, but then on the airline, so when I traveled to Dubai, you know, there was a very long flight, and you know, you have meals. So after 6 hours, you get a meal, and I'm like, oh fuck. I said, there's nothing for me. And then so, you know, my first trip overseas, you know, and again, I did this with the Ravens. We went on tour, and you know, my first trip overseas on the plane, I was like, oh my gosh. I said, I was supposed to have put some type of meal thing in here, and I said, there's not. I'm assuming that there just has to be.
Yeah.
But assuming made an ass out of me, and I said, there's no food for me. But they gave me lots of snacks, but it was fine. But I said, oh, fuck this. I need to make sure that I fix my dietary like thing on my planes, which now they are available. So I didn't know this because they don't advertise it, but there are vegan options out on every airline. You just have to go into, you know, whatever app the airline is, and you have to, you know, go through the settings or whatever, and it says like a dietary part.
Vegan hack.
Vegan hack.
Vegan hack.
Hashtag vegan hack. Got you. But yeah, so that's a gem that I didn't even know about. But yeah, you go in there, you just change it vegan, and it changes your vegan options, flights to every single flight that you ever have. And now all your meals, if your flight's long enough to get the meals, will always be vegan. And I changed that in my next meal when I went to Dubai, vegan. She came out, you know, with a little cart, and I said, yeah. And she passed my little meal. I said, yeah.
You get white glove service with the vegan menu too.
You know, you're looking out for the kid. But yeah, it's hard though during travel. Once you get to wherever you're going, nowadays it's much easier than it was 8 years ago when only tofu was the only option that you could have.
So you've mentioned all this traveling too. Like you said, what was the first place you mentioned? Because I'm going to butcher that so bad.
Bahrain. Yeah.
Bahrain, and then Dubai.
And and then Kuwait.
Yeah,
and Germany.
And Germany. And Germany. You know, you're saying these things like it's the Wawa across the street.
But shout out to Ravens.
Yeah. So, like, how are visiting these places? Like, what's traveling to these places like? Like, what's the culture like? Food, environment, all that stuff. Walk us through that.
So, like, going to travel there, you know, again, I was on a, you know, UAE Ravens tour. We got to visit, you know, the military and things like that. But we also had free time to explore. And that was a time where I was like, you know what, let me explore these places. Who knows when I'll ever be here again, you know, but I'll touch on something in a second, what I was about to say about that. But yeah, like traveling there and seeing the different cultures and embracing. I'm someone, like I said earlier, I'm someone who appreciates everything, no matter how small or how big it is. And I am such a learner, and I love to appreciate different cultures. I love to appreciate different people because people are special, and I want to be able to accept anybody. Like I accept people, I accept who you are, I accept where you come from. I just, like I said, take everything in. So when I'm in a new place, I'm like, whoa, like I want to see everything. I want to try everything. I want to do everything. What do you have here? Or what do you like? Oh, wow, what is this? And I'm just a sponge. I'm soaking it all up. There is not a ounce of me that is going to be like, ugh, like I'm too good for that. Because no, you're not. How do you know you're too good for something you never tried?
Right.
Like, so I was like, let's go. But no, I love to explore. I love to try new things. But being over there in Bahrain, it was amazing. The weather is beautiful. You know, Kuwait, beautiful. The people are very nice. And you know, it's like a basically a chicken with my head cut off. I'm like looking at everything. I'm running around.
Yeah.
My head will be on the ground if it's cut off. But I'm running around like, where do I do next? But Dubai and Abu Dhabi. Habibi. I'm telling you, Habibi, you gotta do what you gotta do. If you gotta go, you gotta go, because it is beautiful. And I say that, you know, there is something that we should visit because there is something that I hear you want to do to switch gears over to you. My God, there's something that you want to do that's in Dubai.
There's just something I don't stop coming across. And is it Aura Sky Pool
Yes.
that oversees the palm?
Yep. And I think it's worth it. You've been seeing it a little too much. And I was just
It's
there.
like almost like you were there, but you weren't at Aura.
Exactly. So I got to go back to go there with
So
you.
We got to make it happen. We'll make it happen.
We'll make it happen.
The last
Lock it
time
in.
something like this happened was when me and my buddy Chris over here said we're going to do a marathon.
And y'all did do that.
And then we did that.
Y'all did do that. ENR, take Dubai.
Look, whether I'm walking or rolling in Dubai, it doesn't
there.
matter. We're there.
We're there.
Dude, I mean, anyone just look up Aura Sky on. We're putting so many plugs in here.
Absolutely.
They need to start, calling us.
Right.
You go there and it's an infinity pool, and then you oversee the famous palm in Dubai. I forget what it's exactly called, but God, it's a fever dream just looking at it.
Yeah.
Right, and that's what I love experiencing. I'm such a sucker for a good view.
Same. Abu Dhabi, when I went to the Grand Mosque.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like like I said, again, breathtaking, not to beat a dead horse, but like I'm literally always taking stuff in. I'm like, damn, I was like, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
yeah.
I can't believe this is happening. But it's just so beautiful. It's so nice. So definitely check it out,
So we're gonna have to go see that.
Absolutely.
Is there any 2 or 3 places that you could think of at the top of your head that you really want to go to, like bucket list places?
Bali, Turkey, and I also actually now want to try, like I want to visit Greenland.
Okay.
Yeah. 'Cause
Yeah.
I know it's the opposite.
Yeah.
So
my buddy Arthur and I were just in Iceland, not too long ago. Yeah. I'm Hispanic. I like a beach. I like a drink in my hand.
You know what I'm saying?
And I like some nice water.
Okay.
Clear water.
It wasn't there?
I will cut him a break. There was no night.
Okay.
So I mean, you don't get a beach or any of that, but you get an entire day. It's one of those places where you literally need blackout curtains to sleep.
You have to be there.
Right, but the party never ends because the night never ends.
It's like Vegas.
So we actually went to Vegas a few years ago.
And I didn't even know that.
It gets worse and worse.
It gets worse and worse.
But
Oh, man.
so, dude, yeah, we actually flew over Greenland. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, and, views amazing. Views amazing. So I don't know if I'm gonna go to Greenland, but is Greenland the place that I hear is like a very depressing place?
That's what I'm saying.
Is that what I heard?
They say it's because it's always so gloomy and so like blah. But I feel like there's like
You're gonna be that one guy coming in.
I want to go there and
You're gonna be the ray of sunshine.
yeah.
You're gonna land there. All the ice is gonna melt.
Like yes,
and it's really gonna become Greenland.
exactly. No, that's what I'm saying. The opposite is crazy.
Dude, Bali.
Bali, that's
Definitely a
what I'm saying.
go-to.
Bali and Turkey.
Definitely, yeah. I just met someone from Turkey the other day. I met someone from
Yes.
Turkey and Costa Rica too. I was recently there, and Bali. I remember I specifically wanted to go during the pandemic because I was working from home, and the villas there. Oh, dude, you could get a villa in Bali for an entire month for like $1,000,
That's what I'm saying.
and you could and it accommodates perfectly for like 5 to 6 people. But
Need it.
where they get you is the flight because a
Yeah.
flight there is like $2,000.
Right. But once you're there, you're good.
Hey,
Same
hey.
thing with Dubai. It's-
The pain leaves the moment you get
That's
there.
what I'm saying. No, I want to go so bad. And also an honorable mention. I definitely want to go to Tokyo. I want to go to Japan. I just
I think I just found the traveling buddy.
there we go. We're locked in.
We're in there,
ENR
man.
takes the world.
Dude, hell yeah. I'm all for it. I love seeing a different culture, trying different
Yes,
food, different
yes.
environment, different night scenes.
Just embrace it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Man, now you just got me thinking because, God, that's really all I have for you, man.
Oh man, it's
That's
over.
really all I have for you. So, Ray,
Yeah,
we went from your upbringing in
Yeah.
Baltimore,
yeah.
ending up, in the Ravens. Beautiful story. Also going from broke. Shazam, be Shazam. Wendy Williams.
Yeah.
Chef Ray.
Yes.
Travel Ray.
Yeah.
What else? Is there anything else we didn't cover that you would like to cover?
You know.
What's next for you? You said you're going into real estate.
Yeah.
Is that what's next for you?
So I'm working on something right now, and I'll definitely share that when it's time.
Okay.
But real estate is definitely my next venture, and I'm gonna tackle that full force. And I'm also working on a little vegan project as well.
Okay.
That I want to come back. But hey, I might be back to explain all that
Please.
good stuff.
You're always welcome here.
Thank you. It's
You're
a safe
always-
space. It's a good place.
You're always welcome here. Mi casa, su casa type of deal.
No, that's right.
So and yeah, in real estate, I got my buddy Arthur. He has 10 years plus of real estate experience.
Yeah, I saw his episode.
So you know, if you want anyone to talk to, he's the guy. He got me into real estate. That's why I'm here. So there it is. So
My guys.
my man, Ray Cook.
Yeah.
What an episode.
It was amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of the EP Podcast. If you have not already, please like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends. What an episode, Ray. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Can we
for
give it
having
up for Ray one time?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
This has been another episode of the EP Podcast. We're out.
Signing off.